It is indisputable that public political discourse is deplorable. A telltale sign that too often proposed legislation is supported or not based on its source, which side of the political aisle it comes from, rather than on whether it has the potential to benefit the American people. As a result, as one pundit has put it, the problem is that half of us don't want to talk to the other half, and political discourse takes place only in echo chambers, where we listen only to the beliefs of those who already agree with us. How can we extricate ourselves from this darkness by spreading some light? We must first understand the nature of the problem, which is a destructive transition from being a member of a tribe to tribalism. This distinction is extremely important. In his book, Tribe, Sebastian Junger correctly points out that a valuable aspect of being human is the importance of being a member of one or more communities of like-minded persons. We can call them tribes. Persons who care for one another, providing a clear sense of belonging and solidarity. For example, the tribes to which we belong could be our immediate family, or our circle of friends, or a fraternal order to which we belong, like the Rotary. For persons who profess a religious commitment, a tribe could be members of our Christian church, or synagogue, or mosque. Our tribe could also be comprised of members of the Republican Party or members of the Democrat Party. So far, so good. But darkness descends when healthy expressions of belonging to a tribe degenerate into tribalism. By tribalism, I mean an us versus them mentality, where whatever issue is being discussed, me and my people, that is members of my tribe, we have the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth about the issue. And those other folks, that is members of that other tribe or two, possess none of the truth. And things get worse. Not only are those other folks completely wrong, they're actually evil and should be demeaned and demonized. The prevalence of such tribalism in current American culture is a scourge that envelops us in darkness. If you are willing to examine whether you have succumbed to tribalism, I ask you to consider the following meddlesome question in the quietness of your heart. Do you go out of your way to talk to someone who disagrees with you with the hope that you will learn something? If you believe that there is nothing to be gained, it's a colossal waste of time to talk to someone who strongly disagrees with you, that there is nothing to learn from that person, then you have succumbed to tribalism. If tribalism is the main problem with current political discourse, what is the solution that will spread some light? Before I can suggest a cure for the darkness of tribalism, we must first understand how each of us forms our beliefs in the first place. My beliefs about any issue are deeply informed by who I am, and the same is true for you. And who I am is comprised of two components. First, what sociologists call the particularities of my social location, and second, my personal biography, what I will call the story of my life. The particularities of my social location include my gender, my race and ethnicity, my socioeconomic status, and my sexual orientation. My personal biography, the story of my life, includes experiences that are unique to me. No one else has walked in my shoes. As a result of my unique particularities and personal biography, I may see something about the issue being discussed that my conversation partner misses. Likewise, because of her unique particularities and personal biography, she may see something that I miss. In other words, I may have an insight into the truth about the issue at hand from which she can learn, and she may have a differing insight into that truth from which I can learn. It is possible that if we talk about our differing partial glimpses of the truth about the matter, we can find some common ground, reaching a consensus about a more comprehensive view of the truth that combines our respective partial glimpses. Having a dialogue about our disagreements does not succumb to sheer relativism, where one set of beliefs about a given issue is as good as another. Rather, the purpose of talking is to explore whether, together, we can arrive at a better approximation of the truth about the issue that combines our partial glimpses. This is a different purpose than winning an argument. So how do we seek truth together? We need to compare notes, so to speak. We need to talk to each other about the substance of our differing partial glimpses of the truth, seeking to first understand the reasons for these differences in light of our differing personal biographies and particularities. I now need to flesh out a process for comparing notes. The process I will propose is deeply informed by my commitment to the Christian value of love, which I believe is a universal human value, not just a Christian value. In brief, the foundational premise that I am proposing for your consideration is as follows. I need to create a safe and welcoming space. Those are some key words this morning. I need to create a safe and welcoming space for someone who disagrees with me to express that disagreement and to then talk respectfully about the disagreement as a deep expression of love. In the darkness that envelops current political discourse, there are few examples of such safe and welcoming spaces. But I now need to be upfront about what I believe is the major obstacle to my dream for the creation of safe and welcoming spaces for talking respectfully about strong disagreements. That obstacle is the general lack of an extremely rare combination for any given person, the combination of commitment and openness. The rare combination I am talking about is holding to your beliefs with deep, even passionate commitment, at the same time that you concede that you may be wrong. And therefore, you may have something to learn from those who disagree with you. Being meddlesome once again, let me ask you to ponder the following question in the quietness of your own heart. Do you exhibit that rare combination of holding to your own beliefs with deep and passionate commitment, or being open to the possibility that you may be wrong? All that I've shared with you so far has been preparation for some concrete practical recommendations for spreading some light into the current darkness of public discourse in America. My upcoming recommendations are based on my experiences over the past decade or so, experiences of some success and some colossal failures, the beautiful and the ugly, of trying to model loving and respectful conversations among persons who have strong disagreements about some contentious issues, such as same-sex marriage and the Trump presidency. A possible way forward from darkness to light. Sparing you all the gory details, my ugly experiences reveal that it is extremely difficult to recruit conversation partners who exemplify the rare combination of commitment and openness. And a typical imbalance will be that invitees to a conversation are very strong on the commitment pole and very weak on the openness pole. This leads to a set of 3 recommendations. Number 1, the place to start. Recruit a small, balanced cohort of conversation partners. I would recommend a group of 8 to 12 participants. It is not a good idea to initiate a conversation about a contentious issue by issuing a general invitation to all members of a relatively large organization, since that will too easily lead to an unbalanced cohort of those who accept the invitation that does not reflect the diversity in belief about the issue at hand that may exist within the organization. If this imbalance occurs, the ensuing conversation can deteriorate into an echo chamber. Great care must be taken to recruit a cohort of conversation partners that has a balance of participants, preferably an equal number, who have opposing beliefs about the issue at hand. There is also an indispensable requirement when recruiting conversation partners. The cohort you gather together should include persons whose lives are most affected by the issue at hand. For example, a conversation about human sexuality should include gay and lesbian Christians. And a conversation about immigration should include immigrants, both documented and undocumented. But it is legitimate to now ask how the results of just one small group conversation will have a significant impact on a large Christian organization. My recommendation is that the initial small group conversation be replicated in additional small groups within the large organization. My second recommendation is about the agenda for the first session together. That should be devoted to agreeing on the purpose of the conversation and pledging to abide by a set of stipulated guidelines for respectful conversation. The purpose of the conversation should not be to win an argument. Such an unworkable purpose will only serve to reinforce the rampant tribalistic us versus them mentality that thrives on peddling fear and demeaning and demonizing those who disagree with you. Rather, all conversation partners must agree up front on the following statement of purpose for the conversation: to understand the positions taken by all participants and the reasons given for holding those positions toward the goal of uncovering some common ground. Secondly, each participant must agree up front to abide by a set of guidelines for a respectful conversation that I believe is now flashed up on your screen. I want to make special note about the fourth guideline. I call it the fourth bullet, though I have some Mennonite friends who would prefer that I call them pearls instead of bullets. Note that the fourth guideline above requires that you go beyond the politeness of not interrupting another speaker, possibly only thinking of what you will say when it comes your turn to speak. Rather, it requires that you critically examine your view in light of what you hear the other participant to be saying. The result of such critical examination could actually lead to strengthening your own point of view, but it also could lead you to refine or even correct your point of view. My third recommendation is for the agenda for the second session together. Focus on creating a safe and welcoming space for the expression of disagreement. Richard Mao, President Emeritus of Fuller Theological Seminary in Pasadena, California, reports that he used to start a conversation with a person who disagreed with him by blurting out, "You are wrong." This only led to defensiveness, with the other person also blurting out, "It's you, Richard, who is wrong." Mao learned the hard way that a better starting point was to say the following to the other person: "Help me to understand what it is you believe about the contentious issue before us, and help me to understand the reasons you have for holding to your beliefs." In my words, Mao was creating a safe and welcoming space for the other person to speak his or her mind. Imagine the strong possibility that this opening statement from Mao would lead the other person to think, "Wow, Richard gave me a safe and welcoming space to present my beliefs and my reasons for my beliefs. Maybe I should reciprocate by also providing Richard with such a safe and welcoming space." If you focus in your second session together on attaining such reciprocity, you will have laid the foundation of mutual trust and understanding that will enable your third session together and all subsequent sessions to make significant progress toward the goal of uncovering some common ground. It is my hope that numerous organizations, both religious and secular, will seriously consider my recommendations for how its members can lovingly and respectfully those who have strong disagreements about some contemporary contentious issues, thereby spreading some light into the current darkness of public discourse. Thank you.